Hi everyone, it's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 160,000 now across our 8 arts and culture LinkedIn groups. I don't get to meet everybody, as you can imagine, but when I do, it's a delight, and that is absolutely the case today because I'm joined by Miranda Harrison. Miranda is one of our full members. We're entirely member funded as a community, so it's very much appreciated. Miranda, thank you so much for joining me today for this.
Pleasure.
Where are you based, Miranda?
I'm based in London.
Excellent. Okay, now we're going to have some fun today. I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year based on the work you're doing and the expertise and experience you have. I found it's a lovely way to pull out anecdotes and surprises and conversational detours. So does that sound okay?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Excellent. But before we do that, I'd love you to say hi to everyone who hasn't met you yet. Tell us a little bit about the work you're currently doing, your expertise and experience, and perhaps hint at your superpower and your passions.
Goodness. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Miranda Harrison. I'm currently Senior Publishing Manager at the Design Museum in London. My background is very strongly arts publishing within the museum world. I worked for many years at the V&A, Victoria and Albert Museum. I've worked at Tate, I've worked at the British Library, I've worked at a number of different institutions, both within the publishing teams that are in those museums and also working on behalf of them. So for many years, I was with Scala publishers, and I was also for a few years with Lund Humphries publishers. And both of those publishers do a lot of work as a publisher coming into a museum and helping the museum team publish their books. And so I've been on both sides of the fence in terms of doing a lot of different type of museum publications, from exhibition catalogues to guidebooks to collection books to really quirky out there things, playing with the treasures that we have to play with within a museum. And all the time, I think, sort of underlining everything I've done has been a genuine passion in making art accessible. So you asked what my passion is. I haven't really thought about it in these terms before, but I think my passion is making things accessible, making the art world accessible. It can be very elitist, it can be very exclusive, and that doesn't sit naturally with me, and it never has done. So right from the beginning of my career, I've always been interested in making things reachable. So as a junior editor working my way up, my work was, as any editor's role is making those texts clear. But one of my earlier jobs was at Yale University Press, so they were very dense academic texts. But they didn't need to be a closed shop. They didn't need to be tightly academic speaking, just academics, because a lot of the subject areas were really, really interesting. And so at an early age, I was thinking about how to make those texts more accessible. Clearly, within the art book context, you can make it visually very accessible. You can make books, illustrated books, very dull too if you're not careful. So overseeing design, working with designers has been a key part of my career as well, and remains to this day a really important part of what I do. But it all goes back to that accessibility, whether it's a visual accessibility or a reader's experience of, as an artist, I did art history at university, and some of the books on the reading list before I began the course, I remember sitting in my parents' house thinking, I don't know what they're talking about. I have no idea. Aged 18, it was it was a language, it was a way of speaking, kind of art historical academic speak, which at that age was just completely blocking me from what the actual narrative was. And I again, that sort of that has fed into a lot of what I do, because I've not only am I really passionate about the accessibility of the arts, I'm also very interested in the kind of social history aspect of art and the arts and the humanities, and on a broader scale, popular culture, photography, fashion, the arts in the broader sense, is, I think, essentially social history. It's what people do, it's what they make. It's that human urge, that human desire to to look at the world around you in a creative way, rather than a more perhaps prosaic way.
Yeah.
So that's where my interests are. My superpower, that's hard. I don't know what my superpower is.
I think I know it actually. I think because yes, we had a conversation before we hit record, and I think your superpower is troubleshooting. Uh,
Right.
because
Yes.
I love the way that you introduced yourself as a publishing troubleshooter in the museum sector,
Mhm.
which I think is fantastic. So that's what I'll remember.
Okay.
We're on the same page in that my background is in music rather than museums, but I wrote a blog post once that suggested that the best violinist the world ever saw never picked up a violin, and it was about access. You
Right.
know, and there's a lovely saying, isn't there? Talent is everywhere, opportunity is not.
Mm.
And so we donate some of our membership funds to East London School of Music, and have done, and will continue to do so, because they're short of instruments, you know, and that's an accessibility issue.
Mm.
So, well, I think that's great. What a wonderful profession to be running. That's fantastic. Excellent. Okay. So based on that, we're going to have some fun now. I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year. It's always a little bit like a seance, you know, because we're not quite sure where we'll end up. But it's great fun. Now, I'm going to place you somewhere in the world, and I'm going to do that by asking you, what's your favorite building?
My favorite building. Well, that's, I'm sure everybody says that's hard because we're all artistically orientated and interested in the world around us. But I think the building that comes to mind that sort of is me more than many other buildings is Strawberry Hill, um, in South London. Um, and it's where Horace Walpole lived, and it was the house that he built in 17 something or other. I haven't researched this because I didn't know you were going to ask me this. Um, but it's basically it's a Gothic fantasy. It's an extraordinary building with amazing kind of fan vaulted ceilings.
There we
And
go.
there we
I
are.
found it.
You found it. So yes, the red interiors with the kind of, it's actually papier mâché, those ceilings. That fan vaulting is papier mâché.
Oh, that's incredible. Isn't
Uh, it's an extraordinary place, and it has, in some of the other interiors, you get wonderful views of these amazing sort of Gothic windows and staircases and little chambers. And he,
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
uh,
I'm going to throw one back at you. Do you know the House for Essex?
oh, Grayson and Perry's house.
Yes.
I haven't been to it, but I've read about it. Yes.
I've stayed there for the weekend.
Oh, I'm very envious.
It's just incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. And that your choice reminded me of this in its
Yeah.
beauty. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to um, place you at Strawberry Hill.
Yeah.
I'd like you to imagine there's a pop-up cafe on the lawn.
Mm.
Okay. It's 6 o'clock on a June evening, and it's warm and sunny, and there is a drink on the table next to you. What would we find there?
A warm, sunny June evening. I think it's going to have to be a really good champagne.
Excellent. Okay.
If it is the fantasy world, why not?
Yeah, why not? Top.
Spoil it.
That's a given. Now, there's a book on the table next to you that you've been reading. It
Right.
could be your favorite book, it could be a recent discovery, or it could be a book that's been with you all your life and perhaps changed your life. What what book would we find there?
Gosh, that is so hard. Do you know what? I think I'm going to mention a children's book.
Okay.
Not a well-known book at all. I don't know if anyone looking at this will have ever heard of it. It was a book I read as a child called The Conjurer's Box.
Oh,
Um, and I cannot remember the name of the author for life nor money. It was Anne somebody, I think. Anne, can't remember.
let's find out.
It's probably not been in print for years. It was a very 1970s book. I remember the drawings inside it. It was very 1970s.
Oh, I
Uh,
think I found it. Anne Lawrence.
yes, Anne Lawrence. I nearly said Anne Lawrence, and then I chickened out. Didn't think I got the name right.
Yeah, The Conjurer's Book. I've got it. Yeah, let me show everyone. it might, the cover might be very reminiscent.
It was bluish.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Oh, no, my edition was dark blue.
Oh, okay. There's
Um,
another cover there. It looks as though it's still available. So
what? Oh, good.
that's,
I'm glad other people children still enjoy it.
yeah, that's wonderful. So we've got the drink and the book, and
Hey, well, I chose it just quickly. The
yes, please.
reason why is because it was the first time as a child I read it. I read ridiculously voraciously, but it was the first time as a child where I suddenly realised that I could hear all the sound and all the. There was a scene in there of the. It's an adventure story with lots of magic and things happening, and in one particular scene, our protagonists, the lead children, are in a fairground, which seems simple, but all the sounds of the fair and the music and the hubbub, I suddenly realized that I could hear it all incredibly strongly and that it was all down to the imagination and down to the writing. And it was a real moment of kind of childlike discovery of going, I've just got this from the page. This black and white lettering on the page has given me this incredible visual and oral and experience and sensation. And it was I think that changed my whole life in terms of books, publishing, arts, music, world, entertainment, all those things sort of happened in that
That's
moment.
oh, I've never heard it expressed so beautifully as that before. But yes, I can think of texts that I've read that have had color
Mhm.
or emotion and scenes of. I remember reading The Magus by John Fowles, and that was the first. And I was quite young when I read that, and that was the first book that made me angry.
Right.
So, when somebody died in it. Oh, I should have done a spoiler alert, but there we go. Anyway, wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much. That implies some kind of synesthesia going on inside you there, which is great. Excellent. So you've just come from a meeting inside Strawberry Hill with a
Yeah.
wealthy London-based family foundation. Okay. And they've got wind of your troubleshooting expertise in the publishing industry for museums. And they would like you, I'm trying to remember what we discussed a little bit earlier, what your challenge would be. Do you recall? We're going to send you around the world.
Yes.
What were you going to do?
To go into the museums where they have either not got a publishing team or have a publishing team that would like advice on how to turn their assets into viable publications that are part of the income stream, but also really a good sort of ambassadorial role for that museum.
Fantastic. So the title of your year is going to be to raise the bar in publishing proficiency in museums around the world. And that's going to be their investment in the success of museums for generations to come. Excellent. That sounds like a lovely year. Now, I have to tell you, I have a time machine and a magic wand at my disposal for this. So all you need to do, and this is going to be first class all the way, you can go anywhere in the world. There's a big fee involved. When you get back, there's a TV crew following you. There's a book deal in it for you. You become the go-to person for publishing in the museum sector. There's a TED talk. And when you've finished your year of investigation, you can, if you wish, then do a global university lecture tour at their expense. Okay. Does that sound like fun?
Sounds awesome.
Friends and family can come and visit you during the year. All your personal and professional admin is going to be handled by a personal assistant. So you can just go. Now, so we'll hop to Heathrow from Strawberry Hill, and you can go anywhere you like. Where are you going to start this?
Interesting. Where am I going? I guess it's a challenge because I wouldn't want to imply that places I suggest necessarily need my help, but this is a fantasy world, so I need
It
to.
is, but you're also going to be picking up best practice and
Yes,
sharing it around as you go.
yes, absolutely. I mustn't overthink it.
The choices of your destinations do not imply that they're not doing it Right.
Okay, well, let's start with somewhere I have never been before. So that'd be really exciting. If someone's paying for it, that would be a great start, I think. So how about I go to one of the big museums that's opening up in Dubai, in Doha.
Wow, lovely. Okay, you
The-
turned left when you got on the plane. Okay, and the steward brings you two things: a beautiful glass of chilled vintage champagne, and a note from the Family Foundation back at Strawberry Hill. They have a musical challenge for you. They would like you to limit your musical listening to one very specific genre or type of music for 12 months to the exclusion of all else. What would you choose?
I'm sure most people would say, oh, but my taste in music is so eclectic. How can I possibly get it down to one thing? Which is what the first thought is of mine completely. Um, if you're listening to the same thing for a whole year, that's you've got to really love it, haven't you?
Mm. Or not like it at all and hope that you do. That one of the people I asked that question to said, I don't like hip hop, but I want to know if I could enjoy it. So they chose something they didn't like to try and educate them. Someone else rather cleverly said live music.
Very kind. I couldn't do the music that I don't instinctively like because I listen to music for my for fun and for enjoyment and for downtime and for relaxing and for being in my happy place.
Mm,
Be an area where I'd be teaching myself something new. That would be the place where I would cease to learn and just relax and be in my happy place. Um, and I suppose the answer therefore, the music I would listen to more than anything in my happy place, I'm going to show my age, is alternative 80s.
wonderful. Alternative 80s. So who might appear on your playlist?
um, the obvious ones like The Cure, they're very obvious, although they're a bit mainstream.
Fantastic. I love it. That's a great choice. No one's ever chosen that before. You'll be pleased to know. So that's great. Now you arrive in Dubai. Okay. I'm giving you the kind of intro week here. And you'll then go off and do this wonderful project. And a group of young museum publishing professionals meet you at the airport and whisk you into an apartment at the top of the Burj Khalifa. Okay. And they say, unpack, relax, and make yourself at home. We're going to come back to take you to a dance performance, and then we're going to take you out to dinner. Now, this is where the magic wand and the time machine come in, because you don't have to stay in Middle Eastern culture. You can have anything you like. So if I could put a dance performance on a stage in front of you, and it can be any dance group, any dance style, any dancers, living or not, so we can go back in time. What would you like to watch for a couple of hours?
Gosh. I think I have watched quite a lot over the years. As a kid, I was very lucky I grew up in Dorset, and at Bournemouth Pavilion, the Royal Ballet used to come to the Bournemouth Pavilion.
Mm,
My favourite dancers when I was a kid from the Royal Ballet. Haven't watched much ballet as an adult though at all. So that's one thing possibly, but maybe something a bit more. I think that would be, yeah, a bit. I think the fact that I was in Dubai, I would want to see something that was going on that was absolutely relevant to where I was. So I'd want to see a really interesting cultural evening of dance, music, song, whatever was going.
mm.
Um,
Why don't we suggest that a new dance company has been formed in Dubai and they are effectively contemporary ballet
mhm.
movement. Well,
Yeah,
that would be good. Now, what about dinner? The Dubai has restaurants with cuisine from all over the world. What would be your favorite?
my absolute favorite cuisine is Indian cuisine, without a doubt. Uh,
Okay, love that.
yeah, Indian veggie.
Indian veggie. Yeah, perfect. Now we're going to buzz again from Dubai to somewhere else for this introductory week. Where are we going?
Gosh, we are going. I have never been to Australia, so let's go to Australia. Let's go to Sydney. And in fact,
Sydney.
let's go to Melbourne. Let's go to Melbourne.
Okay, Melbourne it is. I once heard a joke about Melbourne. The pilot of an aeroplane said, "We'll be landing in Melbourne, everybody, in about 30 minutes. So you might want to put your clocks back 30 years."
Oh,
I think it's got the reputation of Hastings or something like that. But anyway, okay, we're in Melbourne and it's sport day in Australia. Okay, we have ice dancing in the Winter Olympics. We had break dancing in the Olympics last year. So some sport could be considered performance art.
yeah.
Are you a sports fan? And if so, what would you like to watch for a couple of hours?
Well, interestingly, I'm quite a cricket fan, so it's fortuitous that we've ended up in Melbourne.
Isn't it? That's fantastic. Perfect. There we go.
Well,
Um,
I would love to see the cricket in Melbourne.
okay, well, let's assume the Ashes are happening and you're there for the Ashes. Excellent. Now we're going to buzz again. Where are we going now?
Let's go somewhere that I have been before and really enjoyed, which would be somewhere such as Berlin. Loved Berlin.
Berlin. I love Berlin. I always thought in my teens that it was a sort of East European grey, dull city, but having been there with my wife a few years ago and been salsa dancing till dawn, my brother lives there. He's a cellist and he lives and works in Berlin. So, yeah, wonderful. Have a guess, right? This will intrigue you. What the annual budget is for the arts and culture sector in Berlin.
I bet it's really good. I don't know. I can't even think. Can't
It's
even.
900 million euros just for Berlin. And that's more than the total Arts Council budget,
That's incredible.
isn't
Yeah.
it? My brother gets free childcare because he works in the creative sector.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we're in Berlin. This is great. Now, in Berlin, in our fantasy cultural year, there is a new digitally enhanced art gallery. You can
Right.
put on virtual reality glasses
Mhm.
and step into the work of a famous visual artist. Okay. It's not quite the Van Gogh immersive experience because that's with other people in a room. You are in the painting. Okay. It's three-dimensional, it's 360 degrees. There might be movement, there might be sound. You can see in 3 dimensions what the artist couldn't show us in 2. In those circumstances, whose work would you like to step into?
That's an easy one for me, particularly when you mention the dimensions. That's Malevich,
Malevich. Right, let's show everyone. Um,
because he was actually very into dimensions. He
oh,
called the fourth dimension.
oh,
Um,
oh, wow. Is that, have I got, let me show everyone and you can tell me if I've got the right person.
you have. He did figures as well. Um,
Figures. Let's see if we can find some figures.
but yes, the big squares are very much his dimensions.
Yeah.
That's the more figurative one. So if you're in the fantasy painting and there's movement, then these figures are just fabulous. They're
Aren't
sort of
they? You can walk around these people and they'll be walking beside you and round and
pure Malevich. Yeah, those kind of big blocks of color.
yeah, wonderful stuff.
But this
Excellent.
you showed up earlier is more about him exploring dimensions and thinking
Yeah.
about art meets science, which is something I've always been really interested in. The fourth dimension,
Mm,
he was best mates with people who were looking at Einstein's work, etc., and all about that overlap between art and science. Long
well,
story, very interesting.
great choice. Now I'm going to whisk you back to London. And we're going out together every night of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we're doing something cultural every evening. Okay. On Monday, we're going to go back in time to a musical performance. On Tuesday, we're going to the theatre. On Wednesday, we're going to a West End musical or Broadway musical. Thursday is opera and Friday is movies. Sounds like a great week, doesn't it? Now, between us, we can choose what we see. So, is there a musical performance that you attended live that you would love to be able to go back and experience again?
Um, um, a lot of gigs in over the years. What was a really big one? Really, really massive. Um, Actually, yeah, one that was really unexpected. And it was before they were well known, but I heard a few of their songs and I really liked them. was Franz Ferdinand.
Mm.
And it was a small venue in Elephant and Castle, long since gone, called something like the Coronet, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just heard their music and thought, these guys are interesting. Got tickets very cheaply, went to see them. It was a brilliant gig, absolutely fantastic gig.
That's a great choice.
Not this, I mean, I will probably think about it later and think, oh, why didn't I mention blah, blah, blah. But this is the thing that came to mind, and it was a great one. It was
That's
really
perfect. I'll enjoy that. I've not seen them live, so I'll enjoy that. What about a theatre play?
well, this is the other side of my life. I'm also a trained actor, so
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to answer this one. And I can. I think one of the plays that I saw, which was when I first came to London, I was incredibly excited about going to the West End. I was Dorset born and bred, country girl. Couldn't wait to come to London, and assumed that everything was going to be brilliant. And actually, I saw some West End shows that weren't very good, and I was amazed that that could happen. That was my naivety. But in those early years, I saw Death and the Maiden with Juliet Stevenson.
Mm.
And I saw it 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, in those days, on the under 25 stage pass, you could get in cheaply to really
Mm.
big. So I couldn't possibly afford to go to the region now.
That's a great choice. I love that. I have conversations with young creatives and artists, and they're in disbelief when I tell them I was paid to go to music college.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I got a grant from Essex County Council. It covered my fees, my accommodation, and a bit of spending money. And now it's the opposite. You know, you pay through the nose. It's such a shame. But yes, I can imagine that was. I sneaked into Les Miserables shortly after it opened at the RSC because our college was next door in
Right.
Barbican. So yeah, I'm with you on that. That's a great choice. Death and the Maiden. With Juliet.
Just such a actor. She's fabulous.
Fantastic. What about a musical?
Well, in fact, I was going to say Les Mis because I had a school trip from Dorset up to London, up to the big bright lights, which is very exciting, when I was 17. And that was after the RSC when it was in London. But it had Michael Ball as the very young, what's the lead character, Mariah, or whatever.
Jean Valjean.
No, the lead, good-looking young lad.
Oh yes,
Marius.
I can't remember, but yeah.
Marius.
Yes, Marius.
Would have been 1985, 6, somewhere around there. In fact, recently I've still got the cassette that I bought at the time, and I found it the other day doing a bit of a clear out, and Caroline Quentin was in the chorus.
Oh really? Fantastic.
It was the whole thing was exciting. It was exciting being in London. It was exciting going to the theatre. It was exciting to see a musical. I didn't know Les Mis. I didn't know it was a book. I didn't know anything about it. And yeah, I absolutely loved it and cried a great deal throughout.
Fantastic. Yeah, I remember the first half. My brother used to play in it as a cellist, and he said you don't have a drink before that show because the first half's about an hour and 3/4. So excellent. Now Thursday's opera night. Are you an opera fan, Miranda?
I was very, very lucky as a teenager, growing up in Dorset. I don't know if it still exists. I think it does. Dorset Opera, which was a group where professional soloists and professional musicians would perform with a local auditioned chorus. And I took part in that between the ages of about 14 and 17. And it was a highlight of my year. As a teenager, I felt very unsure. I didn't know where I fitted in. I didn't really, I definitely wasn't cool at school. I didn't have a huge kind of gathering of friends. But when I got to Dorset Opera, I came out of myself and was somebody else playing a different role. It just changed everything. So I have a very soft spot for opera because it was the theatre of music, putting the two together, theatre and music.
It's often described as the king of art forms, isn't it? Because it involves everything.
Yeah.
Acting, singing, design, music.
Again, it's
writing.
Often elitist, and I was very lucky to be shown at a young age that it was something that youngsters could really enjoy. And some of my school friends thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world that I was singing in an opera. What was that? Why are you doing that?
Do you remember which ones you did?
Yeah, we did. Uh, uh, gosh, brain's got Nabucco. Verdi's Nabucco.
Ooh, yeah,
Uh,
fantastic.
I was in the Hebrew slave chorus.
I once organized all the entertainment at Harrods when I had an entertainment company. And when they opened the Egyptian Hall, they wanted to do the Grand March down Knightsbridge. So I had to put all that together and had to hire all the musicians. That was great fun, and all the costumes. Anyway, I digress. And on Friday, now this is good fun one, this one. So on Friday we're going to the IMAX at Waterloo Bridge. Okay.
Okay.
We've got the place to ourselves. We've got the best seats in the house. Perfect sound, wonderful surround sound. We might even use a magic wand and go to the Sphere in Las Vegas. Have you seen that?
No.
Your whole vision is completed. It's incredible. Have a look. It's staggering. I'd love to go and see it. However, I'd like you to choose a movie that you love that I may not have seen.
Ooh. Ooh. Now that's difficult because I'm not very sophisticated or worldly wise in my film knowledge.
Neither am I have to admit.
um, something. I'm stuck on that one.
Oh, I'll throw it back at you then. I'll take you to one that I love that I'm pretty sure you won't have seen.
Go.
The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I one of my favorites. I love it. It's great. It's a romp through World War One, a proper epic story. Excellent. Okay, now we're nearly there. You'll be pleased to know, Miranda. I'm going to finish with what I call the hero lunch for you, and then I'm going to send you off to do this wonderful project, and you'll come back and do all of those wonderful things. But before you go, we're in London. I'm going to book a really good modern fusion Indian restaurant. Okay. Probably in Devonshire Square, which is where one of my favorites is, just by Liverpool Street. And you can invite one person. Okay. It can be anyone you like, famous or otherwise, living or not, and they will come. Who's coming to lunch?
So many people just race through my brain then. You see them flicking through my head.
Yeah. Yes.
um, should I just go with my first thought? My first thought was Judi Dench.
Oh, that's a lovely choice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So funny. She has that amazing twinkle in her eye. I've listened to her voice all day. A gorgeous voice.
Yeah.
Anecdotes, and she's naughty and she's cheeky and she's fun. Yeah, I think we'd have a right old giggle.
You would. She's still got all of those scripts in her head. I've seen her interviewed, and she can just drop in anything.
Yeah, brilliant.
Wonderful. That's a great choice. Well, there you go. That's your fantasy cultural year initiated.
Thank you.
TED Talk, book deal, TV show, go-to commentator. You're on the couch on morning television, and you get to do the global university lecture tour on publishing proficiency in the museum sector. So have you enjoyed your fantasy cultural year, Miranda?
I really have. It's been great fun. Thank you for taking me on such a journey.
I've often been asked to set up a travel agency so that people can book this and do it. Please don't dash off, but for the time being, thank you so much. This will be embedded in a profile we'll write about you that will go on our website. It'll go on our YouTube channel, Spotify and SoundCloud, and then we'll promote it heavily to all of the active users in our LinkedIn group. So thanks again for being one of our full members. It's very much appreciated. And I've loved doing this with you. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Very much have. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Miranda.